I'm Eitan Weinstein.
And I'm Naor Menninger. And you're listening to Two Nice Jewish Boys.
This podcast is made in collaboration with the Jewish Journal. Israel and Germany's relationship has known ups and downs over the years. When Israel was established in 1948, it upheld a policy of enforcing a complete and total boycott on Germany. Israelis swore never to buy a Volkswagen car, never own a Bosch refrigerator, and never to accept a dime of aid from the state that inherited Germany from the Third Reich. But circumstances brought West Germany and Israel closer together during the 1950s, as Germany needed Israel's forgiveness for global legitimacy, and Israel needed Germany's financial aid to avoid bankruptcy. A decade later, total clemency was afforded to the Germans by Israel. Embassies were opened and diplomatic relations grew deeper and deeper. To this day, Germany claims to have a special relationship with Israel, and its obligations to Israel's future and security are constantly reaffirmed, with words at least. And indeed, in recent years, Israelis travel in huge numbers to Germany. Many of them stay and dwell in Berlin, once the city of Hitler, and now a flourishing and vibrant world cultural center. But whereas young Israelis' fascination with Berlin has been discussed time and time again, a more overseen element of the relationship remains undisclosed: the attraction of young Germans to Israel. Alex Dietze is a German-born Christian. He's been living here in Israel for some time now, recently in the northern city of Tiberias. But the story here is what led Alex to Israel, his personal beliefs, and maybe a shocking discovery about his family's past. We're extremely thrilled to have Alex here with us today.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey,
How are you?
Thank you for inviting me. Yeah.
So where do we start? Wow, there's just so much to uncover, but let's start maybe from where did you grow up in Germany? Where are you from?
I grew up in Bavaria. And
Okay.
here in Israel, everyone knows Bayern München.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
the soccer team.
Bavaria. Yes, I was
Everybody
born there.
plays FIFA with them.
I was 24 when I went to the East Germany.
Okay.
My wife is from the east of Germany, from the new part of it. So we represent the first coming together after a while. And then we stayed 10 years there.
When were you
And-
born? How old are you?
I'm getting 40 in
What?
4 days.
Damn.
No.
That's some
I'm
good genes.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, not bad genes. But wait, that means 40, so you were born right at the beginning of the 80s?
79.
79, end of the 70s.
Yes.
Okay. So you lived in East Germany
For 10 years.
for 10 years, and then you moved back to the west side?
No, from there we started to get the way to Israel.
So so before you get to that, how was it growing up in, because you grew up in Western Germany, right?
Yes.
How was it, and how was the East portrayed to you as a child?
I didn't realize really the East West. I was in my bubble, friends going out, having party, doing music, and I was living my life there. So I was not very involved in some interest there. So I
And
was
you
doing my
grew
thing.
up in a religious home? How much was religion a part of it?
No, not much. But we live in a, it's Christian mindset. We go to Christmas to the church and we celebrate Easter, but nothing really was at this time, my whole youth, and I would say till 28, important for me what comes from this side of Christianity, So I lived my life. And
So Christianity was more just kind of like just a tradition. It wasn't like
Yes.
you were devout
Yes.
Christians.
No,
See.
not at all. I was a seeker, I was looking for
Yeah.
something. I wrote poems, I wrote songs. I was really looking for something real, for something to have a purpose in my life.
Yeah.
This was 100%, and I was taking travels, I was going out, I was doing meditation, I was going this and there, but I had more breakdowns than I found really my destiny.
And what did you know about the past growing up, if at all?
About Germany's past and about your own past.
About Germany's past, it went here and went there out. Nobody spoke so much. In school, I had a little education, sure, the normal education.
It's part of the curriculum
It's
there?
part of the curriculum, but I think every teacher can go more deep or less deep.
I see.
You see, there's a silence over the past. My family was shut down, not too much talking about it. So this was more the, it is an educational, but for me, it was, all these pictures, and sure, you go to the museum, but it can be one day and then it's forgotten and you go partying again, but it can go in your heart.
Yeah.
This is the difference. And it came to a point where it came to my heart, but this is because something changed dramatically in the first place in my life.
And what was that?
And this was after many breakdowns,
What do you mean when you say breakdown?
psycho breakdowns. And I was through seeking meditation, taking drugs, I was
Taking like recreational drugs or taking drugs for treatment?
For party.
I see.
Marijuana, stuff like this.
Yeah.
So I had to go to hospitals, because it was too much. It was all this spiritual thing was breaking me down.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a period of 7 years where I had to really deal with depressions, deal with things, deal with, I don't know exactly what it was. But to make it short, I had an encounter. There was a lady, she said, there's something what can help you. It's God. It's Jesus can help you, and then I said, Jesus, I know him from this dark
book.
church and books, and even not the book, I didn't read it so much.
Yeah.
But I had one night when something happened, something came in a living encounter where I really felt something broke in my heart, and peace came in my heart, what I never felt. And an instant I knew I'm where I am. I'm there what I was seeking for years. And it was the Christ, the Messiah.
It sounds like that was a very impactful experience for you.
Very
and
impactful.
I want us to talk a lot more about it. I mean, I don't know how much time we have to talk,
Yes.
but I want us to talk about it. But before that, I want to kind of understand where you were when that happened. So you had 7 years leading up to it of like this very troublesome time.
Dealing with this, looking for help, even I had dramatic visions about broken times, broken cities, and no one could help me. I went even to churches in Germany, but no one could help me.
And you said you went to hospital. Was that
Hospital.
like a
Not
psychiatric?
Yes.
And
they
did you
gave
get
me
any kind of
drugs, full of drugs.
Did they ever try and diagnose, or did they
Yes,
what did they say?
schizophrenia.
Schizophrenia.
Okay.
I see.
So to make it a little bit shorter, I tried to deal with my life by myself. I went to Dresden, to this east part of Germany. I started physiotherapy. It helped me to focus myself, to get real. And there I meet this lady, what I talked to. And she dealt with me, she prayed for me and stuff like this. And what I said.
How old were you?
28.
And you met her in a...
She was my patient. She came to me as a physiotherapist treatment. I was a physiotherapy making massages stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I poured out my heart and I told her what's wrong in my life, and she said, there's an answer for your question. It's the one who saved me. It's this Jesus man. And I said, come on, I'm in this Buddha thing, and your Buddha cannot lift up his butt, but you have to meet the real one. So she was very funny, but I liked her because she had something like a mother.
Yeah.
And with her, I discovered all this thing, and I had this encounter.
But you were very skeptical at the beginning.
Sure. Yeah.
So when did you start kind of looking into your you spoke about how your discovery of the past as far as Germany's past, but
Yes.
your own family's.
So when this happened, my life changed. I was at this time with a woman. I changed everything. Everything changed for me instantly, because something broke inside of me and kept me in a new mind, and I getting really healthy. I felt it. I get really healthy. I was together with a small community of young people, reading the Bible, praying for each other, lifting themselves up, like it was very, very encouraging, and there, step by step, I discovered, wait a minute, Jewish people, I read in my Bible always Jerusalem, Israel, what's that? I think it's, what's going on? And then
This was completely new information to you.
Totally new. Because, I was thinking Christianity, Judaism.
You're saying that you learned about the connection between them.
Yes.
I see. But you knew about Israel and Jerusalem and the Jews.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but not in heart. It was not interesting for me.
Okay.
It was not the thing I know.
You didn't pay attention to it.
No, not at all. And no history, nothing was. It was just because of my new state of mind, new being, and the book that I really breathed in and I eat from it, the something what I really from my heart. There I read everything about Jerusalem and Israel and the Jewish people, and then
the lessons in the school maybe came back to your
and
subconsciousness.
Yes, and suddenly, okay, there's something. And there is something that it is very easy that there's what happened to me in this. It's not easy to explain, but we are one. My belief is not a Christian belief. It's a belief on the God of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
But this took a long time for me to discover, and even to see that the history with Israel and the Jewish people and us as Germans, it's what's that?
Yeah.
And so
this discovery took a somewhat dark turn at some point. I'm assuming, because you realize the connection, and that probably was very uplifting also.
Yes.
Even to realize, okay, that I'm of the Christian faith and there's people of the Jewish faith, and I'm understanding that we are somehow connected
Coming
in our
together.
mutual histories also. But there's also kind of a darker mutual history that you were learning about. And how did that come about?
And this came about, first of all, when I gave it as an interview in this article, when my grandfather came and wanted to give me his medals. He was serving in the army of the Third Reich. So when he came and wanted to present me his medals, it was a shock for me. Like, wow. Suddenly it turned something into not history again. So I rejected it, and he was offended.
He never talked to you about that.
No.
One day he just came and like, here, take my medals.
Yes, because his house went. He getting older and older, and my grandma was near, getting on. So it was closing to the end.
Yeah.
So he turned one day to me and brought it to me, and suddenly, okay, there's a history of my grandfather with the Jewish people in the dark history.
Did you ask him anything?
Yeah, but most of them, they don't speak. They have their stories sometimes, and he never spoke. He was not a man who speaks about.
He's the father of your mother, or
my father.
So did you ask your father what he knows?
Yeah, but he was also not a talker. There's a veil of silence about our generation.
Would you say it's a phenomenon?
Yes. And it's, there's a very famous pastor in Germany. He has a great book about the veil of silence. And it's like it's a spiritual science not to talk about it. But this is right now, I think, a generation, not only young people, that want to break this silence.
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard question to ask. Is it silence because of shame or silence that comes from a place, not specifically in your case, but in general?
Desire to overlook.
Not to overlook, but we regret nothing and they won't understand. Right? It's two different kinds of silences.
So the first silence, for sure, it's shame is part of it. Shame is part of it. And the second silence, I didn't understand.
So like the generation, I guess, of your grandfather, maybe they figured we don't regret our past, but there's no point talking about it because no one can understand us.
Because I think it's important to note that regret is a very difficult feeling, I think, to come to terms with.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we do something.
You mean to feel sorry about it?
Yeah, because then you have to.
I mean, for my grandfather, when I can imagine, how could they deal? I mean, how could they regret for what happened?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's somehow I think
it's a cognitive dissonance.
It's so they can regret, and this generation I'm talking about, we regret about it, but not we don't land in this big gap of regret and getting depressive because we have a faith that says, I have took you out of the deepest place of your heart. Like me, I think my depression and my crash down is because of something also in my DNA connected with my family side, with this what is guilt on our generation.
Yeah,
was somehow broken when I came to faith in the living God, and He said, "I pull you out. I forgive you."
It's actually interesting because there's actually studies that on the opposite side of the Holocaust survivors regarding epigenetics and the kind of transfer of trauma through generations.
Yeah.
And there have been studies with mouse to show that if you shock a mouse and every time he smells cherries and you shock him and you shock him and you shock him and then you let that mouse procreate, the children of the mouse will show effects to the scent of cherry without ever having been shocked.
I believe, I was very spiritual before, and even now I think that we are humans. We are spirit, soul, body. It's a whole concept, and it affects something. What happened? And I can say for myself, and my testimony is, I was broke down not only because of this was happened with my family, also because of my own habits or what I did. Oh, sorry.
That's all right. No worries.
Let's make sure they can hear us. Yeah, they can hear us.
So, but what I'm sure is, it was an element of it. This dark episode of my life, even the habit or even the DNA, what I come from my family was part of the breakdown.
Yeah.
And when I had this really new life, in my faith, with God, and with the one who saved me, with Jesus who saved me, I was like, there was a forgiveness possible, and I was set free of the guilt. I cannot deal with it because it's too huge. But this set me free on a path of doing
of purpose.
And I love this man, and what can I do for you now?
This man being Jesus.
Yes.
So I want to talk about that. I don't want you to think that we're kind of avoiding that subject, because it is very interesting. It seems to be a huge part of your life right now, and I want to discuss it. Even though I think obviously we have a different outlook on it. Maybe we're, I don't know where Naor stands, but I'm not an atheist, but I do want to discuss it. But before we move on to that, and then also what you're doing today,
yes,
which I think is incredible. I do want to talk about your grandfather a little bit more.
Sure.
Maybe a couple more questions.
Yeah. If you researched, if you Googled him.
I Googled. I looked for him. I looked where he was. And through this community and this church in Germany, they experienced this. They had a lot of informations where you can look for the grandfathers, where they served in the army. I did a lot of work, but I really got no I
Got no
hardly
answers.
got no answer.
So to this day, you don't know.
I don't know exactly what he did, how he did. I just no. And
How curious would you say you are, and how much are you saying, okay, it's fine, I don't need to know?
I was at the beginning very much pressing into it, but when I did not getting something, I had to say, okay, I have to move.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so what should I do now? And then the whole thing with Israel getting open, you know, and it was putting my attention away from the Holocaust to a future. So what I should do with and I had the feeling, the shock and the brokenness I felt because of that. I had the feeling, even for my father, sometimes when he was speaking a little bit about black people, you know, this anti-Semitic
Racist kind of some.
DNA, you know,
Yeah.
it's not he was not a racist and he was listening to black music and stuff.
Ah, yeah.
But you know, but there's some smell in it.
Yeah.
So, and when I was broken about this and sad about this, I had the feeling, okay, I have enough information in my heart to now go and see what's in the future, what I can do different.
So one more question. I wonder
Yeah,
if,
yeah.
because you speak about the DNA and about the kind of the way your father is, the way you saw it kind of manifest within your father. Do you feel like you inherited anything that maybe today obviously doesn't seem to be there at all? But I'm saying, do you feel like in your childhood maybe there was some kind of that, whatever you described earlier, that you had some kind of outlook that was...
I think not. I cannot. I mean, we have all to be very sensitive what we feel. Even today, when Arabs here making trouble to Israel, I have to be careful that I don't blame every Arab for being bad
Yeah.
to Israel.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I can be also extreme about this. So,
But what I'm saying is, it's clear to me that now you obviously don't really espouse any of those feelings. It seems to me. I mean, we haven't talked for long, but it seems to me like you clearly don't espouse any of those feelings right now. But I'm wondering if part of the journey was kind of recognizing those emotions that you had, or those feelings or opinions that you had, or if that wasn't really so much
think
of a...
not so much.
Okay. So let's discuss a little bit about kind of this
Decision.
discovery, this religious discovery, and the decision to move here to Israel.
By the way, I have maybe an answer, because
Yeah.
it's not so much the DNA in myself, because in the Tanakh is
Yeah.
written that God is taking till to the fourth generation the guilt of the nations on it.
That's interesting.
And I'm the fourth generation. So something has happened with the fourth generation that is getting released of something bigger.
There's even there's also like concepts like the collective subconscious from Carl Jung that kind of so
see?
it's like these common things that almost you
to
see.
what's going on in this conversation. You lost me.
But yeah, it's also the epigenetics. So it seems like there's some kind of truth here, because
Yeah.
everybody's coming at it from different
see?
angles.
You see?
But it's interesting.
Yeah.
But so you discovered, as you put it, Jesus. And so maybe tell us a little bit more about
Because
what
many
that...
people discover Jesus. Many people fall
Yeah.
in love with the Old Testament. Many people, fall in love with the Jews even. But not so many people decide to move here. And not only did you decide to move here, you decided to bind your life with the lives of the Holocaust survivors. So how did that come to be?
First of all, I think I'm just a pioneer, and there will be coming more people like this.
You're paving the way for
Maybe,
others.
yeah. There is a move. There's something going on in the community of the Christians who are really discovering the love for Israel, the love for that, and investing themselves. And I can say, without lifting me up, my deep brokenness and my deep release made me like, now I'm 28, bring me wherever you want. This is just do it. And I'm sitting here as a testimony. He did it. He brought me to something that he really loves. the Jewish people, his city, his land, and he gave me this heart.
You know, it's funny because when you say that, it's like I feel like goosebumps, and I have to say, I hope this isn't too blunt, but I don't believe in, you know, in the same beliefs, but it still gives me.
Yeah.
But I think because it connects with the way I see it is that you took responsibility over your own life, and you did something beautiful by coming here and trying to take responsibility and help. And
I don't
and
see
think
contradiction between.
Yeah, I know.
It's not contradicting, I think.
But it's funny that. But okay, so tell us a bit about what you do here, because I think that's incredible.
So, but with this, I have to talk about my wife, because we are like joined together.
What's her name?
Cecilia.
How did you meet her?
I met her in a prayer room, in a Christian prayer room, and I was like singing guitar, and I opened my eyes. And
Did you sing the song Cecilia
No.
by Paul Simon? Oh. That's a shame.
But I opened my eyes, and there she was, and it's a journey, and
It's incredible.
yeah, and she comes from a other background. She comes from a social working background in the field of, in English it's not so easy, of education to prevent anti-Semitism and to teach about Holocaust to the younger generation.
In Germany.
In Germany, that's her background.
It's an occupation.
It's a social worker studying, you know,
Really?
and so she
Is
she
she
was
also-
working
she's-
in this field.
Is she also like a devout Christian?
Yeah.
Okay.
And does she also come from a family with a history?
Yes, of course. She has a. This could be, maybe you can invite her.
Yes.
Because it's another big story. But when we came together, her heart was really more aware of the Holocaust, of the tragedy, of the Christian guilt in the Holocaust. We have to understand, when we speak about Christianity, it's a history combined with the Holocaust, because the Christians were guilty as, you know, you cannot, and she is very aware of this. And then she found out, after when we were married, that there are still Holocaust survivors living in Israel. And this was like, for her, like, wow.
She didn't realize it.
I
But,
don't,
like,
before, I don't know. I think she didn't realize. And then, you know, things getting really practical. There was an humanitarian aid organization who wanted to, who was looking for a couple who takes care in Israel, you know, for
It
Holocaust
was meant to
survivors.
be.
We get an application. Long story short, we were brought here.
Wow.
And
I have two questions, and they're all over the place. So I'm going to ask one first, and then hopefully we'll have time afterwards. But do you find that this is mostly a Christian endeavor? The kind of I don't want to call it reparation, but like this movement of Germans to kind of come here and help Holocaust survivors, or this connection between the strong connection between actual German individuals and Israel. Is that mostly a devout Christian thing, or are there also secular Germans?
I think there's both way, you know, because, you know, some people have an human conscience in English.
Yes.
Yeah? And they are knowing that this was the darkest history, and they feel responsible for it. With the Christians, it's that, and it's now the vision of what we are doing. It's the putting in what we see in the Tanakh. It's
fulfilling a prophecy.
Yes,
Yeah.
fulfilling it.
I also want to ask, so you come here. Do you want to...
No.
So you come here for the first time. How did it feel?
I have to remember, but it was our honeymoon. We did our honeymoon here.
Oh, wow, what a weird honeymoon.
Why? Why?
No, it's just because, you know, it's like
No,
with all
it
the
was-
history and everything.
It
It's like
was.
now to,
I don't know. It was. I know if this. You know, we were here because we were interested in Israel and all of this,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
because of now we have to work with
no,
Holocaust.
it's, it's actually a beautiful
It
thing.
was
I'm just
after,
yeah.
So, and you meet Holocaust survivors for
and
the
not
first
at this
time.
time. Not at our honeymoon.
Ah, okay.
So-
You came for the honeymoon, and then you came back, and then you came to do the...
But still, what was it? What was that feeling? First
I mean,
time
guys,
arriving here?
it was a journey of few years to all this development.
I see.
It's a little live way. It's not deciding going. It's like we went our honeymoon,
process.
we did our holidays, we getting friends. Then Israelis came to us, to Germany. We're speaking about the country, encouraging us to come, inviting us. So it's really a path. So John, it's
So here you're here and you're working with Holocaust survivors. How exactly? What is the day to day?
we are with an humanitarian organization, and we're having different projects. And the most project Cecilia and me are involved is called Shalom Houses. That's where we invite a bus load of survivors from 15, sometimes 30, sometimes 40 survivors to a house we rent as the organization, to have with them dinner, time of relationship, time of singing, bringing them out of their daily mundane loneliness, and just give them a time of fellowship, of time of
Companionship.
yes. Sometimes we go out
social interaction.
for a trip. Now when the spring is, we're planning boat ride on the Kinderred. We did in Sichron Jakob. We went to the museum, and then we went to a musician at home, and he made a private concert. And
Now they're aware of kind of the makeup of the organization, of like the fact that you guys are Germans.
I mean, yeah.
and
this-
how is their reaction to that? Do they express any?
I tell you, Cecilia and me never faced any rejection.
Really?
Never.
That's actually, it's surprising to me.
Yeah, because some survivors still
Are
have
hard,
issues.
yes.
Yes.
But
yes.
I see them more in the back than of this group, and they coming to the front more and more. I tell you, I was the first time when I was here in Israel, and I said, man, I cannot speak Russian because they are all Russian speaking. Yeah, I cannot speak Hebrew. How can I serve? As I want to serve them.
None of them are German speaking?
Few.
Ah.
Yiddish, some, so
Okay.
we could understand Yiddish. But I was really troubled how I can
Communication.
how can I communicate? And I had a little voice in my heart. I believe it was God. He said, Alex, you can drink coffee, you can eat cake,
And
you can
have music.
you can hug them, you can kiss them and be grandson for what they never experienced because their family are wiped out. You can be the one. Be grandson.
And music. Music also is a
Music.
big part of it.
Sure, but you understand in which
yeah.
level we were called to it. And the part was, I loved my grandfather. I was raised up as a little child with this grandfather and this grandmother. I have the story. So isn't it a sign of restoration that now, because I have this normal love for all elderly people, now I can just be hugging them and loving on them and just be natural. And last time a survivor said, Sasha, because I'm Sasha, not Alexander, because Sasha, you are my vnuk, you're my grandson. And then said, okay, you are my babushka number 34. It's amazing. It's so natural.
It really is. And I hate to put a damper on it, and I hate to
Good.
wax psychological, but I wonder if there's, if one, you've ever thought of it, and if there's maybe any truth to it, that you speak about the fact that you love your grandfather, and then maybe you, in a way, you were kind of like in these, you spoke about you kind of being their grandson. Maybe there's something there about kind of finding a replacement because you were so disappointed in the truth about him that now you want to.
I don't know. I don't know. But I can say, for me, it comes out of a natural heart. I was working in Dresden the last years with elderly people. I was a physiotherapist in an elderly residence. So there I discovered I like to work with elderly people. And though I realized, okay, I was raised up at my grandfather's place, and maybe it's that. So I was working in Germany 3 years with elderly people. And here again, so I don't think it's like, I have to do some, like replacement thing. And it's natural. It's really.
Did you meet plenty of young Germans? Because I see them, especially in the spring, in the summer. I see many young Germans who come here, and I actually spoke with quite a few who fell completely in love with Israel. And I mean, is it a phenomenon outside of a Christian thing, like general phenomenon, in your opinion? How do you explain it, and how do you see it?
It's a wonder. How can we having this after 70 years? What happened in our world? It's just that it's a wonder. I have no words. I cannot really explain it. It's just.
It's like the past binds us together in such a unique way, right?
Fucked up way.
Fucked up, yes.
I wrote a lyric. I wrote a lyric because I'm doing German rap. So I wrote a lyric. The worst enemy became the best friends. So it's like, and it's not by us. So something is between us that it's bigger than us.
Would you say the young generation, like of 20-something, 30-something Germans, like they have, I don't know, an unsettled debt with themselves, with their past? Like, are they searching for clemency or whatever by coming here?
Doing things good?
Just by coming here,
It's more than it's redemption.
Redemption, or dealing with the past.
I think we speak. I cannot speak for every individual.
Sure.
Everyone has his own individual family DNA. What I said before, I think there's now the generation who is really coming out of this depression and big guilt. Not because we are now saying, forget it. No, we remember. But it's not this heaviness. And there's many things, I think, what happened. But what I said, the third and fourth generation, it's biblical that they coming out of some depression.
So I it's funny that you mentioned the fourth generations, because I do have some kind of like, I'm not sure even if this is accurate, but I have I used to be like a yeshiva kid. I used to study and be religious, and I have a memory of something about seeking redemption in Jewish law, about how you're supposed to ask for forgiveness 3 times, because the first time the person's still upset, and the second time they're still upset, but the third time they're expected to get over that. And it kind of fits with the fourth generation. The first generation is the one that committed it. The second is the first time you ask for forgiveness. The third, and then the last one is kind of the time that generations are expected to give that forgiveness. And I really feel like I gave a Dvar Torah, like a. It's amazing. Like
I like it. I got goosebumps now.
So I feel like there is, but there is still. I feel still in me a certain level of skepticism about you. Like, I feel like are very genuine, but I still am a bit skeptical about the German people, and I wonder whether or not. And I know this is it's almost kind of like continuing the prejudice that led to this situation in the first place, because they assume things about Jews just by nature of them being Jews, and now I'm assumed. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And I'm assuming maybe something about Germans just by the fact that they're being of them being German. But I wonder if you think that there is something in the German DNA that has yet to be addressed. This whale of silence you're talking about. That's and I think this is what Noah was getting at the beginning. Yeah. That still exists, and that silence isn't necessarily out of shame, but just out of kind of, let's let the thing pass, and then maybe it's gonna come up again. If you feel like that's actually, a problem that exists in German society, maybe in your childhood you felt it from other kids, if there's something there that's like, I don't know.
I lost a little bit your Torah lessons, but as I understood, you think that could it be happen again? Is this
in a way, I guess?
We're talking about the thing what is rising up right now in Germany again, anti-Semitism very much.
For example.
We are in this is not only a problem in Germany, we're talking about this anti-Semitism thing, it can be everywhere.
Because now what you see in Germany, from one hand, you have millions of Muslims
Yes.
who came in
Yes.
set circumstances. As a Christian, Christianity would tell you embrace them, but many of them don't like Jews.
Yes.
And then you have Germans who do not like the immigrants, but and some of them are also anti-Semitic. Then you have the Jews who suffer from both ways, and then you have the Germans who say, let's...
Okay.
So it's so complicated.
Yes, it is.
Can history repeat itself, I think, is a question worth asking.
So I can, for my...
Yeah, we don't expect you to have the answer.
No, but what I can give for an answer, what I felt called to now the last 2 years, because we were 3 years here working with the survivors, felt connected with this land, with the Israel people. I went back to Germany for 2 years and was speaking exactly what you're talking about. I was speaking for Israel. I was speaking for the Jewish people. I wanted to wake up the Christians who are still blind for Israel, embracing with Christian doctrines the enemy of Israel and don't know what they're doing. And not everyone is, but it's complicated. Because not every one of the immigrant people,
you cannot know what they think.
They are people in need, but between them there is a problem.
Yeah.
And we had bus bombings in Germany. We had killers on Christmas markets. We had this.
Of course.
So what does it say? It says, and for me it was like we have to gather the people who have a mind for Israel, who have a heart for Israel, bind them, connect them, build them up, making them strong, focusing them and encourage them for investing themselves in this and not in this in Israel. This was my calling, because other thing is too big. I cannot change the...
So I have to say, I think first of all, what you're doing is beautiful, and I think it's important to look to the future. But I think that and I think you're doing this too, but I think that, and your wife is doing it, but I think that is almost as important, if not almost even more. And I don't think it's dwelling on the past. I know that you described it before as kind of falling into this deep, dark place where we dwell on kind of the sins of our past, and I don't see it that way. And I think going back again to Jewish tradition about redemption is first you have to admit the wrong, and first
not
there
you
needs
personally.
Not you, yeah. I hope you don't take. But I think that the German state, the German nation, needs to learn its past and internalize it, and say we did this, come face to face with it, and then you can really
not only
move forward.
We did this, but the emphasis is on we, not them.
Yes.
It's we, because you cannot, in my opinion, cultures don't change. I don't know, a mindset of people don't change over several centuries. The people and the culture and because Germans today say, oh, it was somebody else.
Yes.
It's not me, But
I hope this doesn't come across like I don't want you to feel like we're preaching at you. I mean, I look at you and I see exactly what I would like to be expressed in Germany.
And I tell you, there are some. Yeah. It's a remnant. Mm-hmm. It's not the state. It's not from a political. This heart, what we feel here between us, there are a remnant in Germany, and not only in Germany. I believe in every nation. But what does the Tanakh says? Every nation will also turn their face against Israel. But also in every nation there is a remnant. And we believe, we want to train that the remnant makes the difference at the end.
So you're optimistic.
I have an optimistic God. He rules everything, and it's your God.
Fair enough.
So
yes.
He has watched over this, and he's in control of everything.
And to continue with the optimistic note, do you see Israel by now as your home?
I thought you were going to continue with the optimism, because that would have been a crazy breakthrough, because
Turnaround.
he's never optimistic.
No,
He's
I'm actually
like-
quite pessimist.
He's quite a dark
But-
person.
But do you see Israel as your home by now? Do you feel at home? And do you see your future here?
Wow. You know, there. It's an. I don't really know, because I'm so in the here and now. I don't know what's in 2 years, because so many things are dependent on many things.
So right now, do you feel at home here or there in Tiberias?
I mean, we are still coming to our daily life, mundane. We have no daily life. It's. I don't know where. But the point is, I don't feel at home in Germany neither.
I see.
I think I'm like a
nomad, maybe, or
Abraham, you know, like a
Yeah.
little walking around, being on the way. I'm on the way right now, and you know our wedding sentence, you know, from Cecilia and me, and I told to her, you know what you're choosing now. You know, for wedding you have a verse of the Bible you choose, and this is, you know, follows your life, and it's from the Song of Songs. It's draw me after you and I will run. So, and I said to you, no, what you're choosing is we are on the way then, honey. We go the way, you know, and we will go wherever he leads us, and now we are on the way. And now we are here, and we are in the right place right now.
It's important to say that, by the way, for our listeners, that Alex hasn't been here for a week or 2 weeks. He spent 2.5 years in Zichron Yaakov doing volunteering, and now 2 years in Tveria.
No, 2 years in Germany, and now since September again in Tveria.
Yeah, so you've been doing this for a while.
Okay, Alex,
Sorry.
thank you so much for coming. From the north, we really appreciate
Thank you.
the effort.
you.
You're welcome.
And
For German listeners, maybe want to look at the organization. What's it called?
Back to Zion.
Back to Zion.
okay. Anything else you want to plug before we?
Close.
Yeah.
Read
Read the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I plugged the Bible.
You're the first guest that's maybe plugged the Bible.
plug the Bible. And yeah, I just want to mention, because the inspiring verse of the Tanakh was where Yeshayahu says, "Comfort, comfort my people." It's a calling to the nations. And I believe there's a remnant coming who wants to comfort the survivors and speak to the heart to Jerusalem good things, and being a comforter to Zion, and saying, we are standing with you, and we are here to protect you, and with our being here, doing it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Before we go, we have a collaboration with the Jewish Journal.
Yep. JewishJournal.com, guys. Check it out. They have great articles. It's a news website based in LA. They have good
Podcasts.
They have podcasts. They have columns. So check them out. JewishJournal.com.
And we accept donations.
Donations. Basically, we do this on our free time, guys. So if you want to throw a few shekels, no schmeckles, don't throw any schmeckles. If you want to throw a few shekels our way, 2njb.com/donate.
And that is it.
Great.
Our first live.
First live episode. It went well, I think.
It went well, yeah. We did it. Your friends commented and said beautiful things also.
Great.
So you can-
Really? Because I was
yeah.
going to say, I have a feeling that we're about to find
Yeah.
out that none of this actually happened.
Luckily,
We will see what's coming
Alex's
out.
friends came to our aid. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.